Hey, Inner Power Entrepreneurs, Dr. Amanda here. I'm your host, and if you're a coach, expert, or business owner, you're in the right place to learn law of attraction strategies that will help you supercharge your energy, mindset, and habits to manifest rapid business growth. And today, for our very last episode of the year, I'm going to give you my number one tool that Abe and I have used to scale our business successfully. And I think this tool might surprise you a little bit, but at the end of the year, I always reflect back on the year and think, what tool could I not live without? Or what tool changed the trajectory of my whole business? Or what tool caused me to grow my business more successfully? And what can I share with you to help you do the same? And if I could have a drum roll right now, I'm doing it on my desk. This tool would be the Working Genius Assessment. So just go to workinggeniusforentrepreneurs.com. I know it's weird to put a CTA at the beginning of this episode because it might take you away from listening, but let's say you go take this assessment and come back and listen. You're going to understand how to apply Working Genius specifically for entrepreneurs. And the reason I say this is because this assessment, if you've heard of the 6 types of working genius, if you haven't, I'm going to explain it all today, but let's break it down. But I want you to know the background in terms of the creator of the Working Genius. His name is Pat Lencioni, and he is a guy who helps teams be stronger, workplaces feel better, and he works with a lot of corporate style teams. And this assessment is much more made for people in a workplace than it is for entrepreneurs. And when I found this assessment, shout out to one of my clients who had found it, I took it and realized, oh my God, this is the missing piece. It's such an easy part to be able to tap into zone of genius type of work. And you all know that I'm a zone of genius coach and I help people access their genius to make easier money. And this tool is one of the best I've ever found. So again, if you want help from me to know how to apply it as an entrepreneur, go to workinggeniusforentrepreneurs.com. The link is also in the show notes, and you'll see a way to take it and then get information from me about how to apply it specifically for entrepreneurs. And we'll dive into all of that. I just wanted to make sure you know that you could go take this assessment. It's $25 at the current time of this recording, and then come back here and listen to this episode to think about it from an entrepreneurial perspective. And so let me explain to you why the Working Genius Assessment is so critical. And when I say critical, I mean critical for your rapid business growth so that you don't build a prison out of your business by doing stuff that you don't enjoy doing. When we don't do stuff we enjoy doing, it's because we have either fear or we have blocks around it unconsciously. Like we think we've got to work really hard to make money. That's going to cause us to work in our working frustration. It's going to cause us to do things we don't enjoy doing. I want you to build your business from a place of ease and joy and flow and fun. And so that is what this assessment is helping you do. But the reason that I found it is that Abe and I decided to work together in 2023. So he had left his C-suite job. He actually gave notice on January 2nd of 2023, and they had him work for his company for another month. And him and I were psyched to work together. This had been a dream of mine for a long time where I thought, oh, I want to be with someone who's mobile and has their own business and we can travel the world together and do all these things while we're building our businesses. I never imagined that I was actually going to work with my partner, my intimate partner, as a business partner too, because I just hadn't had the right fit. And when I met Abe, he was working from home, but for a company, and, things were plugging along. And so I just, I thought, cool, we both work from home and we enjoy what we do. And so let's just play in that field. And he had actually, without knowing it, in this new company he was working for, he had really gotten promoted out of his genius. And what I mean by that is that he has a specific genius type. And because he was so good at that genius type, people take notice and they start promoting you. And then you get promoted out of your genius. And then you get put into your working frustration. And when this happens, you become more and more unhappy at work. And it's hard because this is what most companies do. They tend to promote people, and then instead of giving them more expansion within the role they're doing to be more in their genius, they end up promoting them out of their genius. And this is why I think a lot of entrepreneurs jump ship from corporate world or paid working world, because they feel stuck and stifled and they think, I can't do what I love in this job anymore, and I'm so tired of it. I feel so crappy that I just don't want to do it anymore. And Abe was feeling that way a lot. He loved the company he was working with, but he just it wasn't a good fit, the role that they had him in. And so him and I were on the elliptical. Actually, we have a little gym, and I was on the elliptical and he was on the treadmill, and we were talking, and I was asking him about, what does he love to do? What are the things he's loved to do in the past with his work? And the things he was describing to me, I was like, I need that in my company. That's who I need to grow the company. And so it planted this idea, like, maybe you should quit your job and come work with me. And so this was in November of 2022, and we started talking about it and daydreaming about it and seeing, planting that seed and kind of playing with, was it possible? And by the end of the year, he was like, let's do it. Let's go all in. And so he gave notice, and then he started working with me full-time in February. Now, at this time, we did not know anything about the Working Genius. I actually had been given the reference to the book. You can read the book, The 6 Types of Working Genius. And I had been given that reference. I had even purchased the book, but I hadn't read it yet. If you're like me, you're one of those people that has a stack of books at all points in time. And, you're like, oh, I'll get to it at some point. And you just keep plowing through until you're guided to read a certain book. So here we are rolling along like early February, I'd say even into March, and running into some major roadblocks. And so, I want you to apply all of this to your own business. When are you rolling along and then all of a sudden things happen where you go, oh my God, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if what I'm doing is enjoyable anymore. And so Abe and I were quote unquote trying. And I say that because I don't love to use the word trying, but that's how it felt. We were trying really hard to figure out how to work together. We thought, well, we love each other so much as a couple. Like, this should be easy, right? And I laugh because I know if any of you are out there who have worked with your partner, your intimate partner, as you have a life partner and also a business partner, it brings a whole different bag of things to play with, let's say. And we just thought it was going to be a lot easier than it was. And we were having a hard time. I think for me, a lot of it was having a hard time being a leader of my husband. And I was having a hard time figuring out what he was good at, because as a partner and watching him in his other company, I really didn't interact with him in that way very much. He was doing his thing and he would come and talk to me about it, but I just didn't see the day in, day out parts of him being in a company. And so as he started working with me, I had to let go of some of my ideas of who he was or who he is, and same with the way he thought about me. So we kept running into these roadblocks and feeling frustrated, and we kept trying different things out. And, I got to where I revamped the entire company thinking, let's start a new brand together. That way we can be a team. And I mean, we did so much in 2023 to try to figure this out. Well, luckily, I had this intuitive flash one day. I saw this book on my desk and I thought, maybe I need to read that book. And this is often how I do things. I'm a D, which you'll learn about if you take the assessment. So I'm discerning and I follow my intuition well. And so I saw this book on my desk and I thought, I think it's time to read that. I started reading it, and right away I was like, whoa, this is really speaking to me. And so I said, Abe, we're taking the day off from all the things that are on our plan. And we decided to read the whole book together and take the assessments. And again, I just want to remind you, workinggeniusforentrepreneurs.com. You can right now go to their website and take the assessment. That will lead you there. I just want to make sure you know that you're going to need some help applying it as an entrepreneur, because that's not what they do ultimately in the Working Genius assessment. So just make sure you go to workinggeniusforentrepreneurs.com to take the assessment through me. That way you and I can be connected and I can help you as an entrepreneur. Okay, so we took the assessment, we got our types. And it was amazing because we realized we're the exact opposite types. I'm way up in the visionary mindset, and he's on the ground getting stuff done. And what's really cool about the Working Genius is all types are awesome. No type is better than the other. No configuration is like, oh, this is the greatest type to be, or this is the worst type to be. It's just you understanding who you are. And so this assessment is a lot about your personality, while also it's more than anything a productivity assessment, which I really like. It helps you tap into your genius and understand what causes you to feel the most joy-filled. And if you were to go back and listen to every one of my episodes, you would know that I talk about joy being magnetic to money. And joy is a way that you can scale your business more easily, because when you're in a high vibrational state of joy, you have open doors of opportunity to attract easier things into your life and to your business. And so you automatically have it grow more easily. That's magnetic. And so when you're in your working genius, you are going to enjoy what you're doing. You're going to be able to have a lot of energy, a lot of focus, a lot of fun. Versus when you're in your working competency or working frustration, you're going to feel more stuck and you're going to burn out more easily. So when we say the 6 types of working genius, there are 6 types. Number 1 is wonder. So the wanderer asks questions and explores new possibilities. 2 is invention. That's generating innovative ideas and solutions. 3 is discernment. So there's evaluating options and making wise decisions. 4 is galvanizing, where you're rallying others and inspiring action. 5 is enablement, where you're providing support and resources for the project to be successful. And T is tenacity, and that is persisting through challenges and overcoming obstacles. So there's really, when I say 1 through 6, there's not any number 1 type or 6 type. It's just there are 6 types. And so it's wonder, invention, discernment, galvanizing, enablement, and tenacity. And when you take the assessment, you'll find that you have it'll categorize all 6 types for you. 2 of them will be paired in your working genius. 2 will be paired in your working competency. And 2 will be paired in your working frustration. Now, I want you to think of it this way. Think of yourself like a coffee cup or a coffee mug. Let's say that I gave you coffee into a mug where there were holes in it. You would see the coffee pouring out and the cup wouldn't hold any heat, and you would go, oh, pretty quickly that coffee's gone. That would be like your working frustration. So you drain energy fast. In your working competency, it'd be like me pouring coffee in a coffee mug where it holds and it stays hot for a little while, but not too long. Your working genius would be like me pouring coffee in a Yeti with a sealed lid, and that can stay hot for days. And so that's the difference of the way you want to think about it. When you're in your genius, you have a lot of energy. You have stored energy. It replenishes your energy. When you're in your competency, you can do this for a little bit, but you slowly get frustrated and start to get a little feeling of burnt out where you're like, I don't want to do this all the time. In your frustration, you get burnt out very quickly and you drain your energy very quickly. And remember, when you are draining energy and doing things that drain your energy, you are repellent to money and you're repellent to opportunities. So as an entrepreneur, you want to be in your working genius. So when Abe and I took this test and we read our types, these light bulbs started to go off, and it was like, oh my God, your working genius is the opposite of my working genius. Yet I've been thinking that his working genius was the same because, I had this idea like Abe is good at everything. And I projected all these things onto him that I thought he was good at, which were actually my forms of genius. And so you can see why this kept creating frustration. So after this conversation and reading the book, we started to really change things up. I got certified as a facilitator in the Working Genius, and I started implementing it with all of my clients. Everyone in my Inner Power Entrepreneur Group coaching program takes it. I do laser coaching sessions with people to help them understand how to access their Working Genius and build teams around it for scaling their businesses. And it's one of those things that we use in our language every single day. Sometimes when we're watching movies, we'll be like, oh, that's that type. And then when we're talking to people in the world, we're like, oh, that person's definitely a W or whatever the type is. So it gets to be this really fun language that you can use. And it's so easy to understand. So let's say you're listening to this and you work in a company, have everyone in your company take this assessment. And for that, you would just go to workinggenius.com, take the assessment. If you're an entrepreneur and you're listening to me and you want to keep rapidly growing your business as an entrepreneur, go to my workinggeniusforentrepreneurs.com. Like I said, I'm a facilitator, and I will help you design your business and reverse engineer it from your working genius type. So let's keep digging into why this is so important for law of attraction. Think about it this way. Like I've said, if you're in your genius, it is you accessing the power of the law of attraction to create increased magnetism. It brings positive energy, positive vibrational frequency. It uplevels your feelings. It has you being more focused. So you want to be building your business from your working genius so that you can be more magnetic to money. You want to have your positive feelings, open doors of opportunity. And then you want to understand your areas of frustration. So you delegate those areas as fast as possible so that you're not spending too much time in your frustrations. An example of this for me would be podcasting, right? I love podcasting. Like what I'm doing right now with you and teaching this and sharing what I've learned, sharing my experiences is my genius. I love to come up with ideas and help you be able to implement them in an action-based way. So I'm an ID, right? So what an ID means is that I am the discriminating ideator. So I'm a creative, intuitive, and confident generator of new ideas, and I use my instinct and integrative thinking to solve real-world problems. So you can hear me doing this in this episode right now. I'm going, okay, I've taken this assessment, I've gotten the facilitation, and now how do I apply this to entrepreneurs to help them thrive? That's me putting my genius into action. And so I'm doing this, I'm having a blast with it. And when the podcast needs to be produced, if I had to do that part, I would hate it. I wouldn't have been able to succeed as an entrepreneur. I wouldn't be able to have a top 2% podcast because I don't enjoy that part. It's in my frustration because that's very much a lot of T work where you are finishing a project and you're doing something the same over and over again. So when the episodes get pieced together, it's adding the music at the beginning, editing some sounds out, and then putting the end music on and then uploading it to our hosting platform. If I had to do all of that, I would burn out and feel stuck and frustrated because that's not in my genius. So that's just one example for you. Similarly, Abe is an ET, so he is the loyal finisher. So he's a responsive, dependable doer. He's willing to step up when something is needed and determined to fulfill commitments. That is a perfect person to do a lot of the tasks that need to be done in my company, right? So when Abe and I teamed up, we're like, okay, how do we create this to be our company? How do we transform this into us rapidly building the business together in a way that feels aligned for both of us, where we step into our unique genius superpowers and we let go of all the conventional norms of like, oh, the man should be the ideas generator and the leader because he's a man, which I know for me is some of my blocks because I grew up as a fundamentalist Christian and I always thought men should be the leaders. And so I'm breaking through that. So it gives me this amazing opportunity to break through my blocks with him. And it gives him an opportunity to show up in his genius to do the things that he's really good at. So once we realized this and we started letting go of, oh, we've got to be every genius type, that doesn't work. Or, oh, you should be this genius type and I should be based on gender expectations or gendered expectations. We let go of that and things really started to work. So when I say this is the #1 tool of the year, I mean it to be the #1 tool of the year because if you don't understand your genius type, it's very challenging to scale your business because you're going to continue to create a prison out of your business. You're going to continue to do stuff you don't enjoy doing, and you're going to be pushing away your money magnetism, your opportunities, because you're going to have too much on your plate. You're going to be very overwhelmed and you're going to think that you've got to do it all, which is something that a lot of entrepreneurs already get stuck in thinking. They think, okay, if I'm going to 10x my business, I've got to work 10 times as hard, which we all know is an impossibility. So then you start to flail and struggle and feel frustrated instead of thinking, who can I delegate to powerfully and have that be in their genius, the thing that's in my frustration. And so that's why it's so important for you to get your genius profile and see, okay, who's my first delegation going to be to, or my 10th delegation, depending on the size of your team, and how am I going to hire to the genius types first and foremost so that I can rapidly grow my business and do it from a law of attraction principle where everybody's thriving. Your genius is your superpower. And so, over the years, you've heard me give episodes on Zone of Genius. I talk about values, and now I talk about working genius. And these three combined are going to give you the roadmap to your ultimate success as an entrepreneur. And it's because you're going to understand when you are in your genius, that's when you thrive. When you are in your genius, that's when you have the greatest potential to make the most money. So before we wrap up, I want to give you how your genius type might mess you up as an entrepreneur if you're not paying attention. So let's say that one of your genius types is wonder. Something that will crush you is when you're working with people and you aren't able to explore and your questions are dismissed. So wonderers come up with these big questions, and you need to be able to come up with the big questions in order to feel fulfilled. Otherwise, you're going to feel very stifled. If invention is your genius, you crave creating new ideas and solutions, and you get crushed by not having the opportunity to innovate. The issue here with inventors as entrepreneurs is, let's say that you really love inventing, you just create, but you never follow through to completion. This is what I see for a lot of I's. When I see an I working genius type, I always go, oh, I know this because I'm an I as well. And I can get stuck creating and then not completing things. Or I'll complete it, but I won't ever galvanize it to the point of it making me money or getting out into the world. And so you want to make sure that if you're an inventor, who are you going to have take it to completion and get it galvanized in the world? Discerners. So there's W, remember I said Widget. It spells widget, which is really easy to remember. The wonderers have their heads way, way up at 30,000 feet. The tenacity people are way at the bottom, very grounded. And so if one of your geniuses is D, discernment, your person is someone who loves to evaluate ideas and make decisions. Okay, this is me absolutely. I love evaluating people's energy and then making a decision, and mixed with my eye, I come up with a unique solution for them. And if I don't get to have a place to evaluate ideas and make decisions, I feel stuck and frustrated. I don't like for people to tell me what to do because that isn't a good fit for me. Whereas let's say you're an ET or a T, you want someone to tell you what to do so you can take it to completion. That's your genius, okay? So let's say you are a galvanizer. Things you're going to want to look out for as an entrepreneur are that you love to rally people and drive action. This is great for sales. So if you're not a galvanizer, look for a galvanizer to add to your team, whether it's AI or it's a person, it's ads. Ads can be, you can outsource to ads, which ads can be your galvanizer. Now, the trick here is that your ads are going to need to have great copy to galvanize. And if galvanizing isn't in your genius, you're going to have a harder time with that. And so just pay attention to, what am I missing in my genius types? What's my frustration? How can I delegate to the right person to fulfill that? Because galvanizers are really good at selling, and they really don't like a lack of enthusiasm. So let's say you're a G type, a galvanizer. That's one of your geniuses. And you put stuff out into the world as an entrepreneur and you hear crickets, you're going to get discouraged really fast. You're going to start to go, oh my God, is what I'm doing making a difference? Do I even matter? And you might burn out. So pay attention to that. Find someone who can help you galvanize. If one of your genius types is enablement, one of the stuck points that you're really going to experience is the ability to say no and not take on too much, because enablement loves to support other people and they hate being unappreciated, but they tend to take on too much. So as an entrepreneur, you're going to have the tendency to want to say yes to everything, which is going to burn you out. And especially if you're saying yes and not feeling appreciated. So pay attention to look for that as an entrepreneur. For tenacity, so the T for tenacity, you crave clarity and completion and achievement. So you love to be able to have a clear path and complete things and feel successful. Something in a tenacity entrepreneur that I've seen is sometimes they can want to just finish projects, even if the project, or, let's say it's a launch of a program or anything along those lines, they want to get it done without thinking, is it going to work? And so if you're a T without the wonder, the invention, or the discernment, you might get into action to finish something and then wonder why it didn't work, because you're missing the geniuses of wonder, invention, and discernment. And so I could deep dive all day on these. This is so fun. I just wanted to give you an overview and some of the things to look for as an entrepreneur when you take the Working Genius assessment. So couple action steps here. Number one, go to Working Genius for Entrepreneurs And be sure to either take the assessment yourself, DIY style, that's fine. You're just going to enter your name and information so that then I can reach out to you and make sure you have the right info to apply this as an entrepreneur. The second option would be to do a laser one-on-one session with me where we create a business plan for you based on your working genius type. And the third option, we're so excited for this. In 2024, we're going to start doing Working Genius for Entrepreneurs workshops, where these are going to be online and you can come, you'll get your assessment, you'll get your type, we'll break it down, and we'll do just small group workshops where I can help you really understand how to apply the Working Genius model to your specific business so that you can use it to become more magnetic to money and rapidly grow your business. All of those options are going to be on that page for workinggeniusforentrepreneurs.com. I can't wait to work with you on this. This is going to be so exciting. So just make sure you get into my community so that you will get the information when we start doing the Working Genius for Entrepreneurs workshops. We're planning to hold, we're going to base it on demand. And so we'll start with one, see how many come. There'll be a wait list, and then we'll do as many as people are requesting. So just make sure you opt in there on the page. If you go to Working Genius for Entrepreneurs and click on Take the Assessment, you'll see a place to enter your email and info. And then that way you'll be given notification when we release the workshops. I want to know what you thought about today's episode. Of course, always be sure to come into my community. I want to hang out with you more. This episode is a little different. Let's say it was your first time on the Inner Power Entrepreneur podcast. A little bit of a different model than usual. I just wanted to make sure that you have this tool because it's been so monumentally life-altering and business-altering for me and Abe. And it's something that I think every entrepreneur needs, every couple needs, every parent needs. It's such a cool tool on so many levels, and I wanted to make sure that you have access to it. So, upcoming for the new year, we're going to be releasing 3 episodes a week. I'm so excited. And our goal in 2024 is to hit the 1 million download mark for the podcast. So thank you for being a loyal fan. If you're loving what you got, just make sure you leave a review today. And I'll be back here for you 3 days a week in all of 2024. I look forward to being there for you. I can't wait to hear your Working Genius type and just help you with giving you tools and resources and new ways of thinking about how to rapidly grow your business as an entrepreneur. Enjoy the process and have next year and every year be the best year you've ever experienced, and just keep growing on that upward spiral trajectory where you feel psyched that you chose entrepreneurship as a path and that you love to hang out with me and learn new ways of accessing the law of attraction to manifest everything you desire in your life and in your business. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Until next time, I'm sending you giant hugs and inner power high fives.